Hi, it's T with Teaquilts, and today is Wednesday, May 1st, 2019, and it is 7 o'clock p.m. So if you're watching this taping at any other time, just know that it is a recording. So I'm like late getting into the room today, so I'm going to wait a few minutes to get people in. And I don't hardly have any power on my iPad. I got about 45%, so I'm hoping that's going to be enough for an hour. And where's my phone? Did I drop my phone? And my phone's only got 28% power. I forgot to put it on the charger today. So, let's see, close all. Trying to pull you all up on my phone. So if you have any questions for tonight's live, you can go ahead and put those into the chat box. I'll read those. My channel. So we got 19 people in the room so far. Okay, volume down. Notifications off. All right. So we've got Christine. She says, hi, T and T Quilters. Yes. Hello to everybody and welcome. Cheryl Lynn says, Quilt Fam, hey, T. She's giving a heart to her Quilt Fam. Got Pat Bowman here. She says, hi, T and everyone. And then Bonita Nan says, hey, Miss T and everyone. Hi, Bonita. Trying to get my phone. I'm going to take it off the charge for a minute while I read some of these. Rebecca Connor is here. She says, hi, Miss T. How is it? She's got a W, but I think that was just a typo, I'm assuming. Been busy. Trying to get some things done since I've been like in and out most of the month. And got Mary King here. She says, hi, T and everyone. Darlene Former is here. She says, greetings from Northern Virginia. Diane 57, she says, okay, I'm here. Mary Smith is here. She says, hi, T and everybody from Brooklyn. Hi, Mary. Francesca is here. She says, hi, T and everyone. You look good after such a busy week. I've been trying to get some rest. Got Tracy Davis here. She says, hello, everyone. Hi, Tracy. Welcome. Pat says it's sunny. Florida is here. Bonita Nan says, did you read my email? I can't remember. I have to check it and see because I can't remember. So much has come in and I've been deleting stuff and I still haven't gone through all my emails. Patricia Benson says, hi, T, love your shirt. Thank you so much, Patricia. Marianne Zentgraf says, hi from Massachusetts. Hi, Marianne. Beth Davis is here. She says, hello, everyone. Hi, T. I'm working in my sewing studio while listening to you tonight. Happy to meet you at the AQS Paducah show. Well, thank you. That was really nice of you, and you even uploaded a photo. That was really sweet. Linda McFarlane is here, and she says, hi. Hi, Linda. Let's see. Leetta Bryan is here. She says, hi, T. Just finished a border on a quilt top. And she says, hi to everyone. Bonita Nan says it was about large print animals on fabric and what to do with it. Yes, you're right. I did read that. And I meant to pull it so that I can answer it on chat. So thank you for reminding me. Kayla Avia says, hi, off early enough to catch you live. Hi, Kayla. Welcome. And Diane says, I was free motioning last night on my home machine. All right. So we'll go ahead and answer Benita's question because I have such a short attention span. I got so much going on up here that I have to answer it while I'm remembering. She sent me a couple of graphics of some fabric that she had gotten that had, like, I think one shape was a fox. And she was asking what could she possibly do with it. As far as she was thinking that all she could do with it is applique. And I personally, whenever I have graphic prints like that, I don't ever cut them out. I would make them a focus in something. Either I would use them in big block scrappy quilts, or I would make them a focus on a tote bag, or you can also use them when you are doing like blocking the word that it's called, but where you do the I Spy. That's what I want. The I Spy quilts, where you say, you know, you can add, like, you can fussy cut out like a fox square. It doesn't have to be just the fox, but that's what I would do with it. I don't normally like chop out of my prints that have specific animals or things going on unless that's the only thing that I want out of the fabric. If I was needing a fox somewhere, then yes, I would cut the fox out. But I could use that in the I Spy. I can also use it in big block quilts where you're not going to cut the fabrics down. So no, I wouldn't probably applique those. I have a lot of fabrics like that that have different things going in with them. I just use them in my novelty quilts. We've got Rebecca says, I'm new to quilting, eager to learn. Well, thank you. Welcome. You are in a good place. So if you got any questions, go ahead and pop some in the chat box. Patricia Benson says that she has no sound. You probably will need to go out and come back in, or check your computer to make sure your sound is turned up, because everybody else can hear me, so it must be your system. So I would check my volume on my computer or my device first. Vicky Lemire is here. She says, hello. Hi, Vicky. Diane says, how do you handle ruler while moving the fabric to quilt? Mine's keep moving. She said, how do you handle ruler while keeping the moving the fabric to quilt? I don't do it the way you do it, Diane, so I'm not the best person to answer that for you, because I've never used a ruler on my home sewing machine when I'm free motion quilting. And that's because those rulers were not out at the time that I was doing free motion quilting on my home machine. I do use rulers on my long arm system, but I have a ruler base, and then I'm actually moving the machine. I'm not moving the actual quilt. So I'm not the person to answer that question. If anybody here has used the rulers on your home machine for free motion quilting, please put some help in the chat box, please. Elena D says, hello to everyone here from Polywop, Washington. Welcome to the chat. Francine says, hello everyone. We're having a beautiful day here in Rancho Cucamonga. All right. Our day started out with rain, and we were supposed to have rain all day, but it didn't. It was just, we got sun toward the evening hours. It was just overcast the remainder of the day. Becca says, the problem I'm having is with my measurements. And thinking of measurements, somebody asked me on my 9-patch video, how do I square up my 9 patches? And the answer to that is that I don't square up my 9 patches. I think if you are sewing very basic shapes, you should not have to square up your blocks if you are using accurate 1/4 inch seams, or for some people that like to use scant 1/4 inch seams. I personally just use regular 1/4 inch seam. It seems to work for me. And if you are piecing simple blocks that's 9 squares that's straight across with no intersecting seams in those 9 patches, you should be able to sew a 9-patch block without having to square it up. And so my recommendation to this person was that they need to check their sewing and or need to check their cutting. So what I told them to do was cut 3 strips, 1.5 by 3.5, and sew them together on the long sides. And when you sew that together, you should end up with a 3.5 inch square. And then if not, you need to take your ruler and measure your seam allowance to make sure you are actually sewing the 1/4 inch seam. If that is correct and your block is small or smaller or larger, then you need to check how you're placing your ruler on your fabric. The line should be on the ruler. It shouldn't be off the ruler. So you need to be consistently putting your lines on your fabric how you're cutting. You need to make that consistent because that could be what the problem is. Hopefully that also will help you, Rebecca, as a new quilter. LC says hi from South California. Happy to catch you live. Thank you so much for being here. And Bonita says, cool, thank you. She's responding to my answering her question about that print fabric. Pat says, what would you or anyone in the room recommend for quilting a queen size Dresden plate quilt? I don't know. So maybe somebody else in here has quilted one. I have not quilted one. I think that I probably would do some kind of background filler and then probably outline 1/4 inch inside and then maybe put some kind of motif in the circle of the dress and as a start for me. If other people have ideas, please help her because I have never quilted a Dresden plate. I think I would quilt down the background just so that my plates will raise up a little bit. June Billings says, hi T and everyone, first time joining live chat from London, UK. Well, welcome June, we're so happy to have you. If you got any questions you want answered or if you got some responses to some of the questions that are being asked, we'd love to have you participate. Patricia Benson says, my phone is not working right. Uh-oh. And Diane says that she has stickers on the back. She's talking about her rulers where she's having problems where she's trying to quilt with the rulers and she's got to move her quilt because that's how you free motion quilt on your home machine, but her rulers are also slipping and she has rulers on them. But I have no idea. They make it look so easy at the quilt shows when I've seen them demo it, but I have never actually done that. Let's see. We got Jennifer Mazard here. Hi, Jennifer. She says, what? I'm actually watching you live. Hi, T. I've been missing you. Well, thank you. Welcome back. I know you've had a lot going on. I've been thinking about you, praying for you and your family. Yes, and I do know that she even says afterwards, she says, it's me, not you. Life has gotten in the way. Yes, I fully understand. Judy Smith says, hello, everyone, from my grandson's ball game tonight. All right, multitasking, that's what we do. And Darlene says that she is a scant girl as far as using a scant 1/4 inch seam. And I will use a scant 1/4 inch seam when I got a block that's got a lot of pieces to it. So, like some of the blocks where I was doing with that, the quilter's flower patch, the garden patch, then I was taking like scant on some of those because I had so many seams. But when I'm just doing straight 9-patch, 4 patches, things like that, I just tend to go ahead and do my 1/4 inch. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that she's not the only one. Gail Malone says, someone told me not to use a sheet for the backing on a quilt. And I've been told that a lot too. And it was so controversial because when I first started quilting, I had this lady that would quilt for me, and she actually preferred that you buy a sheet. And so that was kind of controversial. I think the sheet is, well, I don't know, but the sheets back then, I can't tell you about the sheets now as far as putting on the back. But I know the sheets back then, they were kind of stiff. And now sheets have so many thread counts in them that I don't think it would matter as much. But I prefer to just go ahead and get 108 backing, because sometimes you can get 3 yards of a backing cheaper than you can buy sheets now, because sheets are so expensive. But I don't, in the end of things, I don't think it really matters. I think you can put it on there. It's fabric. Our ancestors put all kinds of things on the back of quilts, and they were still considered quilts. So I don't think that there is like an end all to one answer, or one response to the question anyway. Pat says, I'm almost finished putting it together. Great idea. All right. You're welcome, Pat. Diane says they also need to check the pre-cuts. Which side stretches and which side doesn't stretch. It makes a difference. I find when dealing with pre-cuts, especially if you're going from one manufacturer to the next, say I've got 2 charm packs, 5-inch charm packs that I want to sew together. They happen to match. They have the same coloring. Say they're all got blues or something like that. I found when I mix those that they're 2 different sizes. And so what I end up doing with my charm packs, when they're 5-inch squares, I end up squaring them up to like 4 3/4 or 4 1/2 before I even use them. So I really don't like pre-cuts because of that. And you definitely don't want to mix manufacturer's pre-cuts unless you absolutely have to. And then keep in mind that you may have to square some of those up. And I don't really mind squaring them up, because then I get rid of all the fuzz that also comes along with having pre-cuts. So it's not that I don't buy them. I buy them when I get a really good price for them, but I do know when I work with them that they may cause me to work a little harder. Patricia says, okay, I got my volume up and then I lost you, but now I'm back. Thanks, Darlene, from Memphis, Tennessee. Okay. Pat says, Gail, I have used sheets and they work pretty well. So that's somebody else that says sheets are okay. Rebecca says, how do you mix fabrics that are similar in color but different in design without having a quilt that looks too busy? Well, you're probably asking the wrong question, because I mix all kind of things in my quilt. And I think that they kind of complement each other. The more fabrics you actually put into a quilt, the more calmer that quilt will become. If you're using only 20 fabrics and like 3 or 4 of them are zingers, what I call zingers, they're kind of contrasty, they stand out, then those are going to be the things that are first seen in your quilt. But if you use a whole lot more fabrics, like 60 plus fabrics, no one fabric will stand out. So I say more is better. And I use everything. I use solids, I use novelties, I use seasonal as far as holiday fabrics. I use everything florals. And I use all the really ugly fabrics that I no longer want to make focus. So they kind of blend in with the other fabrics that I consider to be my pretty fabrics. Cheryl says the sheets use sheets too. Never had any issues. Kayla says Invisigrip has been helpful in quilting gloves. This is for Diane. So Diane, those were some tips for you. I just don't know how you do all of that stuff that they do, holding. You're supposed to move your quilt and then you got to keep the ruler in one position, so it does sound kind of strange, but they have been doing it. I see your comment, Jennifer. And Darlene Farmer says, so true, never use sheets. She's talking about where I probably mentioned about sheets costing just as much as 108-inch yardage fabric now. Sheets are pretty expensive. Loretta is here. She's saying hello all. Hi, Loretta. Melanie D is here. She says hello, T and everyone. Patricia says, how do I get a shirt like yours? If you go to my website, I have a purple shirt up there, but it's probably not going to be in your size. This shirt was originally in purple and white, and now I'm making them myself I had a company make these, but I'm now making them myself. And you can get them now in any colors. And you just need to go ahead and order through my website and then send me an email to Teaquilts, which is this, Teaquilts at teaquilts.com. So the same thing, Teaquilts at teaquilts.com. And then tell me what color you want. Your text will be white. And then tell me what color shirt you want and what size you want. On my website, I don't have the capability of putting all the colors. And I did put the sizes that I have left of the purples. But if you want something else, then just send me an email. And I normally get them out within a day or two if I'm home, if I'm not traveling. I try to make sure I get my orders out. So thank you, Patricia, for asking. And just for those that don't know, the cost of the shirt is $15 for sizes up through XL. And then size 2XL plus is an additional $5. So it would be $20. If you're not in my Facebook group, please go to Facebook. If you're on Facebook, and join my Teaquilts group over there. It's Teaquilts LLC when you search for it. And I have all of the shirts that I sell are listed over there as well. Diane says, Rebecca, I would place them in values of light, medium, and dark. Then either go from darker to lighter or lighter to dark. So that's another idea you've got for using your fabrics. Kevin says, hey T, that's my friend Kevin the quilter. We just saw his studio last month. I do have videos that I've been recording. I have been busy, but I have been trying to record some of the things that I'm doing. I just have not had time to edit those videos. So I've got another studio that I recorded. I also have 2 projects that I'm currently working on that I'm recording. And I got a whole, 2 quilt shows I have not uploaded. IQF's quilt show yet. I think that's the next video that gets uploaded. I'm not sure. It could be a haul video or a mail call. Maybe I need to do a mail call for March. But I'm trying to do videos in the order of how I recorded them so I don't forget to upload something. So I am busy, but I have been doing some recording. I just haven't had time to do editing. So things are coming. And then he says, hey T, hey quilters. I cut pre-cuts down also. I completely agree. I love cutting them down to 2-inch squares or strips, which is my favorite size to work with. Exactly. I just feel like different pre-cuts are not all the same. So I'd rather start and give myself a starting chance than to just start sewing something together and then they not match up. Christine says, please remember to give this video a thumbs up, please. Thanks, Christine. Appreciate that. Got 16 of you that have hit the thumbs up button. Thank you so much. Rosalind Lloyd is here. Hi, Rosalind. She's in North Carolina, I think. June Hanson says, hi, Miss T and everyone. Hi, June. Welcome to the chat. Imogene Thomas says, I sometimes find vintage sheets at Salvation Army. They can be a good option. And I'm glad you mentioned Salvation Army because I want to share something that I learned from somebody in Paducah. I can't remember how this conversation came up. But a lot of people are using old military blankets because they're made of wool. And they're using that in place of wool batting. And they said that it gives you that same, like when you want areas that are raised over areas that are densely quilted, that they use recycled, like they go to the Army surplus stores, or they'll go to Goodwills or your resell it shops, and they'll look for wool Army blankets. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So for you thrifters out there, that's another thing to look for. Linda McFarland says, when I use sheets, I buy 250 thread count or more. I missed that one before. Cynthia Shade is here. She says, hello. Hi, Cynthia. Welcome to the chat. Rosalind says, can I get a kid's shirt made? Also, what's your turnaround? I don't have any children's shirts unless I do a special order. So On that, I would have to have a group that's ordering some shirts, because if I order one shirt, it's very expensive for me. Um, Email me the information on that shirt, Rosalind, and I'll see what I can do. I do have adult small, um, but I don't have, and I don't have smalls in every color either. But because I don't sell a lot of small shirts, I tend to sell a lot of large and XL shirts. Shrivia Henderson is here. She says, hi, quilt friends. Rebecca says, Diane, thank you for the advice. LC says, I always heard no sheet on the back when I hand quilted. Yes, because they would be too dense. Well, back in the day, they would be too dense. Now sheets, like I said, are being made differently. But I don't know if they're still too dense to hand quilt through, because I would not be hand quilting. I do not like hand quilting. I got one bed quilt that I hand quilted. I started a second bed quilt that I hand quilted, and then it sat for years. And then when I got my long arm, I left the hand stitches in, but I then added machine quilting to it. And then I've hand quilted maybe 2 small wall hangings, like 12 by 12, something like that. I don't hand quilt large things because it stresses me out. But Elsie says the sheets were too hard to penetrate. With the machine quilting, I don't think it matters. Exactly. And Diane's telling Kevin that she loves his chickens. Rebecca says, do you cut the vintage sheets into fabric blocks or strips for blocks? I think she's asking that question when I read that statement earlier, so I don't have the answer for that because I don't use sheets. I have used sheets on the back of a few charity quilts, because once I change if I decide I don't want to use linen, or I changed my bed size once, and so then I had all those sheets, so I just put them on the back of charity quilts. But I personally have not used any sheets on quilts that I have in my possession, so I can't help you at all with sheets. Cheryl says, regarding ruler for free motion on home machine. So this is for Diane. She says, I love Angela Walters rulers. What I have found, though, is that my best case scenario is when I use the machine that I have sunk into my table, so it's perfectly level, no drag or hangover. It took a little getting used to for aiming from point to point, and it's a lot more time consuming than my scribble meandering loops, but it turns out fantastic. And I did tell you all once, and I even did videos where I had bought Angela Walters 2 of her rulers, and I was using, I think I just showed you one of me using it though, but I do like the ruler, and I did so many different things with just the one ruler. So it is a good ruler, but again, I was using it on my long arm machine. But I think if you can do that with one ruler, you should be able to do that with other rulers as well. But there are great videos on YouTube. I know, I want to say like Dusty, his wife, Dusty Fur, I'm blocking his name, the long arm quilter. I want to say his wife's name is Stephanie, or his name is Stephanie. I can't remember now, I'm blocking. But they have great videos up. So search for Dusty long arm quilter on YouTube. His wife should have some videos because they actually sell the product as well. And thank you, Cheryl, for helping with that. Rebecca Connor says, I like natural cotton batting. I do too, but there are times when wool batting, I just used wool batting for the first time in a quilt that I'm still hand sewing the binding on. Can you believe I still got 2 sides to sew on that sampler? And there are times when you want to use a wool batting, or as in this case, I used a double bat. I used a cotton batting underneath and then a wool on top, so that when I densely quilted certain areas, the wool would lift up in the places where I didn't quilt as densely. You want that 3D effect or you want that pop. So there's a time and place for everything, I think, in quilting. Darlene says, I'm an Army vet and I hated this blanket when I was on active duty, laughing out loud. Patricia, I probably would. I'm allergic to wool being on my body, like touching me, so it would drive me nuts. Patricia says, with all the scrolling, where's the thumbs up button? It depends on your device. Um, Sometimes you've got to go out of the video or like minimize your screen. If you got a maximize screen, you probably can't see it. Let's see, if I scroll, I think I would have to go all the way. Like on my phone, I don't even see the thumbs up button. But I know when you're on your desktop that you can hit the thumbs up button while you're watching the chat or watching the video. Cheryl says, laughing out loud, how hand quilting stresses me out too. Rolling on the floor laughing. And then Vicky says, my hand sewing is scary. Now, the funny thing is, I hate hand quilting, but I love needle turn applique. And I done so many demos with the sashiko technique over the weekend that I think I like that too. With the Paducah Quilt Show, I was doing a lot of demos with that while I was in Fabritique's booth. So I think I'm going to start doing that because I think that's one of those projects that is the most easiest to travel with. We got Joyce Rockamore here. She says, greeting from Fort Worth, Texas. Hi, Joyce. Welcome to the chat. Diane says, the straight ruler was not bad, but the curve was a whole nother can of worms. Okay, so you just got to practice, I think. And probably practice on a practice quilt and not your real quilt sandwich, maybe. Gail says that she used the sheets whole, all in one piece. She's not cutting them into blocks. And that was the question. It started out with quilting on the back. So I was confused when the question came up, are you cutting them into blocks? So that's why I did not answer. But yes, they're mostly used on the back of the quilts. I haven't seen many quilters that are using sheets on the front unless they are just making a whole recycled quilt. Recycled clothing, recycled household goods like our ancestors did. They put everything in the quilt. My family, my great aunt who sewed, she actually put a old quilt inside for the batting. She didn't take any seams out. You talk about a quilt was so heavy, you couldn't even roll over with that. You had to pull it off of you just to twist a little bit in bed. So they used any and everything. So that's it. I'm through the chats. So if anybody else got any questions, go ahead and post them into the chat box. Since we got new people here, we got Maria Mayer. She says, hi, everyone. Hi, Maria. Welcome to the chat. Talking about sewing needles, and that making sure that if you are sewing like thicker fabrics that you are using a larger needle. We talked about this a little bit in a chat. It came up impromptu in the past. But since we got some new quilters here, you might want to start with it depends on what company or brand of needles you're using. Size 11, 12, 13, or 14s would be size like 11s through 14s would be good for piecing. But if you're starting to do like rag quilts or working on like denim, recycled denim, then you would need to go up to like a size 16 or even 18 or a 20 needle, depending on what it is that you're actually sewing. So just make sure that you got the right needle in your machines. Also, I really do not recommend sewing rag quilts and denim quilts on your new style sewing machines, because I've knocked 2 out of tension thinking the first time that it was just a flux, and that it was going to not do it again. And then I went to a second machine and knocked that one out of tension, and I still haven't gotten those machines 100% perfect from knocking the tension out of whack. I did go out and buy a heavy duty Singer sewing machine just to sew those type of things on. And even when you're sewing straps for your tote bags, you're folding in so many layers that you've got like 8 layers of something tucked in. And so I would recommend using a different sewing machine. These new fangled sewing machines are not made to do all this heavy duty sewing. Got my brother here. He says, hey sis, I'm here. How's everyone? Been busy in the yard. I figured you were busy since you weren't in here. My brother always stays busy. Mary Smith says, I saw 2 videos yesterday where a home machine was on some kind of a frame. Has anyone ever tried this? If you've got a home machine on a frame, it's doable, but just know, like on my machine on the frame here, it says that my machine is a 22-inch reach. But in true essence, by the time I get the bar in between the machine, I have about a 19-inch reach. And then every time I roll up fabric on the take up bar, this bar here that you see, that means that the space in between my sewing machine that I can quilt gets smaller and smaller. So when you use a home machine that only has like 6 to 9 inches of space and you put it onto a long arm frame, just know that there's going to be, by the time you get to the end on a bed size quilt, that you're going to have about 3 or 4 inches of space that you're actually quilting before you have to roll again, because it's going to get smaller and smaller every time you roll. It's doable because I know people that have done it, but they've also been frustrated by it as well. So just be aware. I would recommend getting like one of your basic machines. I know brother has one that's has a longer arm reach that's like 14 or more inches. And they made that machine to do that kind of stuff, to either do free motion quilting at your desk or to put on a frame to use as a long arm machine. And if anybody else, she's asking, have anyone ever tried this? My answer is no. If somebody's answer is yes, please post it in the chat box and I'll read it when I get to it. We've got June Billing saying, how does black batting show up on brighter colors? You're going to have a shadow. The only time I use black batting is when I have some kind of black or multicolor front. And then I would use it and the reason I'm using a black back must be because I have some black in the top that makes me use a black backing. Because I don't just put a black backing on any quilt. So that's mostly when I use black batting. I will also use black batting if my backing is navy blue, or if it's like a hunter green or dark color green. So I do use it when I have very dark colored backings. The reason why I use it, and it doesn't happen all the time, but you know, you need to change. If it's happening a lot, you need to change your needle. But sometimes when the needle is penetrating, I might get some fuzz, like the batting is going through the cotton fibers because the fibers have kind of spread open when the needle penetrated. But if you're getting a lot of fuzz back there, then that means that your needle is dull and you need to change your needle. So when you have black and you get a little bit of fuzz and it's white, it's very noticeable. But most times it's doable. You shouldn't have a whole lot. That's the only time I use black batting. If you're using it on a white quilt or a light colored quilt, just know you're going to have a shadow. Rebecca Oliver says, hi T. I sew my rag quilts on a 1926 Singer and it works great. Exactly, because those were built to really be workhorses. So great job on that. Linda Jenkins says, hello from Wisconsin. I'm having an issue with my Voyeur 17 right now. It is so frustrating. Loops now and then on the back. And she's giving the growl. I think it must be your your tension gauge. And if you're having trouble with the tension, you might want to get one of those tower guides, the TOWA guides that you can use to set the tensions on your bobbin. So maybe that's the problem. Cheryl's saying at Mary Smith, I saw a recent video with Leah Day and a Juki Home sewing machine on a Grace frame. I've been considering that frame for a bit. Darlene says, I would not use black batting with a bright top. Will show through. Rebecca Connor says, so you suggest a sturdy single stitching machine for piecing? You know what? I've been hearing a lot of my members in Teaquilts have industrial sewing machines, and eventually that's what I'm going to buy to sew with, because even on my highest speed, my machine is still kind of slow when there are times that I just want to shoot pieces through, especially like when I'm string piecing. So that's my next goal, but I need to figure out where I'm going to put it. So I saw where Janome had some. I saw who else at the show? I'm thinking, who else did I see at the Paducah show that had the machines there? I can't remember. But that would be my next purchase for me. And the people that have those machines in this group are constantly talking about how much they love their industrial sewing machines. And then Kevin, if he's still here, he sews on all old machines. He doesn't have any new machines at all. And if you want to see some of them, you can go back and watch the latest Quilt Studios on Tour video that I uploaded. But he says he doesn't even buy new machines. He doesn't want them. And I'm beginning to think that it's probably not a bad idea. And the nice thing about getting older or industrial machines is that you don't have to worry about all the parts for the bells and whistles. They're simpler to fix. And Diane is telling Linda that the problem with the Voyeur 17 is that it's the top tension. Try rethreading your machine with the presser feet up. Okay. I'm glad somebody has it, because I knew it was a tension issue, but I thought maybe it was the bobbin, if assuming she had it threaded right. So thank you, Diane, for helping. Patricia says, I found a Panasonic cordless iron for $69 online. Thinking about getting it with a question mark, though. She's so I don't know if she's asking or saying, but you know, I'll go ahead and answer anyway. I love my Panasonic cordless iron. I use it when I'm traveling to retreats or going somewhere to somebody's house to sew, because it's a small iron, and the fact that I can bring it home hot. I don't have to wait for the iron to cool for me to bring it home. Now, if you're buying that as a replacement iron, you're not going to have another iron, then don't buy the Panasonic iron, because you're going to need an iron that has a bigger base. It's a very small iron, and then both ends, it's a teardrop shape. So you've got a very small iron, and it's not wide at any end. So when it comes time to ironing your entire quilt top or pressing your quilt backs, you're going to be forever ironing with that small iron. So yes, get it if you know what your intentions are for the iron. I love the iron. I've had the iron for 2 years. I used it for about 3 months straight when I first got it, to make sure that it was a good iron. And then I only use it now, like when I need to press something that's already loaded on my long arm. I use that iron because it's cordless, and then I can go and press something if I need to get something to cooperate. But I use it mostly for travel or when I just want to press at my workstation. But don't get it if it's going to be your only iron. But $69 is an excellent price. Rhonda Barlow, she says, hello everyone, greetings from Savannah. Hi Rhonda, welcome. And then Mary Smith is saying to Cheryl, I saw that one from John Flynn. They look so different. I wonder how either would work for a beginner. I would not recommend the John Flynn frame for a beginner. I actually purchased that frame, the very first one. I know he's done some different tweaks to it, but I find that one to be more difficult to use than just going ahead and free motion quilting. You've got to have it on the right table. I was trying to use it on a dining room table and it was just too wide. So if you're trying to use it somewhere where you on a wider table, I wouldn't recommend it because your cord's not going to be able to get into the right positions. Darlene says my Juki 22,000 VP is industrial, sitting on my dining room, on her dining room table. Diane says, yes, I have the Janome 1600 QC, goes through plastic pin heads. Shell says, I have wondered about the John Flynn one too. Joyce Rockamore says, I also want an industrial machine. I do. Eventually, I will get one. My thing is, like, some of the industrial machines, they come in a table already, like the older industrial machines. So I don't have room to get another table. So I would prefer an old industrial machines, but I don't want one that has to be in a table. June Billing says, thanks for the advice regarding black batting. My quilt is a friendship braid in primary red, gold, and green with black sashing, borders, and back. Cheryl says, I just got an early birthday present from my husband, a Juki TL18 QVP. It's the same as the 2200, just the next generation. He went to buy the 2200 and they were out, but had the new ones. Awesome. My husband would never do that. He thinks I'm crazy every time I bring something else into the house, which at this point I'm starting to think that I'm crazy. Linda Jenkins says, thanks for the suggestions on the tension. I love the old singers for piecing. You can pick them up for $100 or less in our area. Well, not in our area. You're going to pay the going rate, which is about $325. But most of them at that rate, they've been serviced and they're ready to go. But they are expensive in my area. So got some other people giving out advice. Anna Safari's here. She says, sorry I'm so late. You're never late. You're just on time whenever you come in. So thank you for coming. And then Joy says, I'm still researching, Diane. So yes, always before you put your money down on the machine, I tell people the first time you talk to somebody about a machine, do not go buy a machine. No, don't just go out of your house and say, I'm going to go buy a machine today. Always go and ask them about their machines. Sit down and sew on some machines. More than just the one that they're trying to sell you. Most places are going to try to sell you more than what you need. So you need to have a list of what it is that you want on your sewing machine, and then you stick to it. And then go to another place or two just to see what they have to offer. And then decide on which machine it is that you want, who has the best customer service, that kind of thing. I never recommend just buying a machine. Cheryl says her husband thinks she's crazy too. Thankfully, he still drinks from my crazy train Kool-Aid pitcher, laughing out loud. Carolyn says, hey T, good to see you, miss you. Thank you, Carolyn. Trey says, I'm late too. Hi everyone. Hey Trey. Carolyn says she has a Singer featherweight, and I find it's good for heavy duty sewing. Yeah, they were, because that's all they had to sew on. Those things definitely worked. So I have a featherweight too. I don't use it all the time. Diane says, good Joyce, the more I looked, the more I realized one machine doesn't fit all your needs. You're correct. And Patricia says, I'm really enjoying this chat. First time to listen and learn. Well, thank you, Patricia, and thank you for participating. we still got like 10 minutes, so if you all got questions, go ahead and pop them into the chat box. Let's see. I'm trying to remember if I had anything to tell you all. Oh, Illinois quilters. I was asked at the Paducah show if I had done the I'm an Illinois quilter shirt. I had done that shirt or done a proto of that shirt long time ago, but never uploaded it. But I did upload a photo in my Facebook group. I got a pinned message for t-shirts that are available for sale. And I think the shirt's in orange, but that's just my prototype. It will come on a black shirt with white letterings, red heart, unless you specify otherwise. I have been doing some other things that I have not been able to share with you all because they're either gifts or I'm actually working on a baby rainbow quilt for my cousin who lives in South Carolina, and I charged her a minimal rate, but then I decided to go all out and get super fancy with what I'm doing, so I'm making a video on that. So there are some things that I'm working on that I'm not able to show, and so, but they'll be coming up a lot later. Carolyn says, it was good to have more than one machine because when I put one in the shop, I'm lost without a working machine. Exactly. I've always had 2 sewing machines since, like I started sewing in 1986 and I had a Kenmore. I never had to take that thing anywhere. And then I got the Singer. So then I always had 2 sewing machines. So I always appreciated when I had one machine in the shop that I had another machine to sew with. And now I got so many machines, I don't even want to count them right now. Carlin says, how many times a year does AQS have a show in Paducah? They have a show in Paducah currently twice a year. They have one in April and then another in September. And this would be the 3rd year, I think, in September that they've had a AQS show in September. And it has to do with them being able to keep that pavilion up. They have to use it at least once every 6 months. And Diane says she loves her old Kenmore. I haven't used my old Kenmore. I had given it to my daughter, and then when she moved, she gave it back. But I need to fix the reverse lever. I haven't found anybody that locally that had the part, and I haven't tried online because I got 10 other sewing machines I can sew on. Carolyn says, how often do you change your needle on your long arm machine? Technically, you should change your needle after every quilt, but I probably do about every 2 to 3 quilts maybe. And I kind of listen for my needle, or if I see my stitches are not acting right. But technically, you should be replacing your needles for every quilt. Now, with that being said, if I do this baby quilt and I put in a new needle, I am not going to put in a new needle when I go to do the next quilt. So that's how it starts. Now, when I will put in a new needle is when I'm going to sew batiks because they're a much denser fabric. I'll put a needle in before I start sewing that quilt. And most of those quilts are full size or larger. And then I go ahead and I change that needle out after I finish because batiks will dull a needle. So it just depends on what it is that I'm quilting. And if my needle is behaving fine, I may go up to 3 quilts with 1 needle. But technically, you should be changing your needle with every quilt. Maria says, T, just wanted to let you know that the guild I belong to will celebrate our 20th anniversary next year. That is awesome, awesome. I can't remember what number of year we in. I'm blocking right now. We're on our 18th quilt show, and we have a quilt show every other year, so it's over 36. That's probably close to 40 then. But that's pretty cool, 20 years. Pat says, I have a 35-year-old FOF. It's a workhorse. And Gail says, this is my first time on live chat with you. Really enjoyed it, and thanks for all the advice. Well, you're so welcome, Gail. It's one thing about quilters, we love to give our opinion even when we're not asked. So when you ask us, we're really ready to give it. So thank you so much for asking your questions. And bye, Gail. She says you all have a blessed night. So we only got a few more minutes on here. If anybody got a question, I got 6 more minutes for our hour live chat. Or any appropriate statements would be okay as well. So yes, I am so busy. I normally am busy March and April, and now my May is all busy as well. So I still am not going to get too caught up in May like I thought I was, because I got a lot of impromptu things with this quilt that I have to do, this rainbow quilt that I'm doing. I have a quilt lecture also this month. I have a retreat this month, just off the top of my head. And guess what? I also have jury duty this month, the same week as my retreat. And I'm trying to see what else is on here. I have some other appointments and meetings, but so May is busy too. I do have a sew along that you can't get into the group now, but for those that are on the sew along wanting to know if I'm going to upload any instructions today, no. It may be next Friday maybe, because I got a lecture. I'm trying to get this quilt done, so I'm working on those 2 things right now, and I will get to that. You will get your next steps this month, but I will not be getting them up anytime soon, just because of all the things I have to do. And then in the middle of all of that, my mom needs a new phone, so I got to figure out how to get her a new phone as well. And Diane is saying that the needle will make a heavy thunking noise when it needs changing right away. You can also feel the back of the needle, because it will start to be bending. It won't have the same feel. So feel a new needle, and then feel a needle that you've been sewing with for a while, and you can tell the difference between the needle, because the deflection changes the shape of the needle as well. So, but we're getting, I don't think we have any other comments. So we're just going to go ahead and close out, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. We didn't have Eric here tonight, so I need to get him. We didn't have Claudette Bettis here tonight, so we'll need to get her. Who else did we miss tonight? I'm blocking her name from I'm blocking her name. I can't remember. She's gonna kill me. She's in Trinidad. We miss her tonight. But thank you all so much for coming in. And June saying that she didn't have time to get started on a quilt. With babysitting and working on a wedding quilt, I haven't had time. And she says, bye, everyone. So, yeah. Good night, brother. See you next time. See you all. I'm going to go ahead and close off. I'm just making sure that nothing else came through the chat. So, bye-bye, everybody. See you next Wednesday. Oh, I won't be here next Wednesday, because that's when my lecture is. It's on May 8th at 6 p.m., but it's in Illinois, so I'll be gone most of the afternoon. So it will not be a live chat next Wednesday. I have to see if I switch it to another date. Right now, I don't know. But go join the Teaquilts Facebook page, and you'll get any information, any updates over there. Bye, everybody. See you next time.